All right, so this is what's gonna go into the handles. You've got the handle arm itself. You've got the shaft, stainless steel screw, stainless steel washer. This side is secured with red Loctite, permanent Loctite. You've got a ball bearing here. This is gonna slip over the ball bearing like this. It's gonna ride on top of that. This guy is gonna drop down inside, so another ball bearing. It's a little trickier to get in there. And that's gonna allow that to spin freely. And then we're gonna secure this screw on this side using blue Loctite. That's gonna go inside. I don't know if you can see that. It's gonna drop down inside, and that's gonna secure with blue Loctite. And then the handle is gonna go on top of that. No Loctite for the foam knob going over that. So that's gonna secure like that. I can't tighten it right now because it's not screwed on, but essentially that's what we're working with. Just wanted to give you a heads up of what's inside before we get into installation. We'll go through a quick installation. Here we go. These are the tools you're gonna need. This is your standard Penn wrench. I'm trying to do this through a viewfinder. It's not something I do often, so bear with me here. Penn fishing, this is the standard wrench it comes with. You need this to get this mechanism apart. You're gonna need your handle, and you may need a screwdriver. So this is what we're gonna do. Start, move that out of your way, move that guy out of the way. To slide this on, the spanner wrench will mate up with this nut here, and you're gonna take this collar, and that collar is gonna spin off. Do not spin that collar off without holding this with the spanner wrench. If you do, there's a plastic part in here that I'll show you in a minute, you'll break it. So pull that off, take this plunger out. Now this piece here is very thin sheet metal, so be careful with it when you take it off. What I like to do is get my tool right in there and pop it up over there. You're gonna see how it comes off. Okay, so it's gonna come off like this, and it's gonna rotate. Rotate it all the way so you can grab it and slide it off. I like to put everything in order the way it came off. Okay, now this is what actually engages and disengages your two-speed mechanism, the lock. Set that aside. This is probably the trickiest part of the entire install here. You've got this plate with a couple of posts on it, and you've got this this nut here is what's attached to your drive gear. Well, at least the spur that's in your drive gear. And this is the nut that holds your handle on. So you need to take off, you need to take this E-clip off here, I guess the C-clip. So what I do is I put my fingernail in there between this boss and the edge of it, and then I use the flathead side here. It takes a couple tries sometimes to push on it, get a little space in there. Very careful here. You can pry it off. Make sure it's not catching, so pull it all the way out so that the legs there are not underneath inside the groove there. Okay, and pick that up very carefully. Leave that there. Now this plate, if you rotate this without holding with the spanner wrench, you'll break this little boss off that indexes and locks that nut into place. So with that, you can use your wrench here. Sorry, like I said, I'm having a hard time seeing because I'm looking through a viewfinder, but loosen it, pull it off. This does not need to be super, super tight when you put it in. There's a little rubber plunger in here. Be careful when you take that off that the plunger isn't stuck to the bottom of it and then falls off and you lose it. Take your handle, set it on there. Everything's gonna go in reverse now. Now that plastic ring that I showed you before, the one I said to be careful that you'll break it if you're not using your spanner wrench. Let's tighten this. Hold this real quick. Sorry guys, like I said, I'm tighten it a little more. See how it matches up here. So we know that needs to plug into that hole. You rotate that a little further. Can't get a lot of leverage looking over like this. too much. Let's see. Hole looks like it's a little too far now. Let's see. A little further. Just a few degrees. All right, and there we go. Now we're on. Definitely want to make sure that that lines up and seats nicely. Everything's concentric. Okay. Now we're gonna go in reverse. Put this guy back on top. This is probably the most risky part of the entire install here. I like to push it in with this just until it gets to a point where it's gonna line up. Get eyes on it, make sure there's nothing weird going on. Keep your finger over it so that if it goes flying, it doesn't go too far. You got a little damage control, and snap it into place. This guy, there's a couple of bars on the bottom. You're gonna line it up so that these two holes are on the bosses, and then rotate it until it seats. You can see it seated there. And those two bars, they seat, and they should lay on either side of those two spurs there. Those two ears, I should say. Okay. Take this little guy here. We're gonna put this end on first. And then we're gonna slide it, rotate it over like that. You're gonna take this edge and very, very gently, because it's just very thin sheet metal, bend it so that it goes under like that. And now it should sit flush on there. And those two posts should be indexed into those radiuses that are there. Take this guy, push it in. It's in low gear now. Put that on by hand. Spanner wrench again. Put that in and tighten it by hand. You don't need to tighten this with a wrench. And that's it. Handles on. Handles on and ready to roll. All right. There it is. There's the factory handle. Just there next to it, much shorter. So there it is. Thank you guys again. I appreciate everybody waiting. I know that I was supposed to have these out like a month ago. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the support from everyone. I may have a few left, so give me a buzz if you want one, and we'll go from there. Thank you guys. Catch ya.